So today I'm also testing out a new setup. I have completely reset everything because I was riding this bike extremely stiff. It was, rebound was at full, compression was at full, and the preload was at 10.5 turns, while stock is 5 turns out. So yeah, it was really stiff, and I think that contributed a little bit to the tire wear, because they have one of those things you never hear about. The leading edge is taller than the trailing edge, which indicates a too slow rebound. So the tire, it doesn't have time to come back up, I guess. And that's something you rarely see. And it's simply because I had everything set on absolutely maximum stiffness, which gave a lot of feedback, gave a good impression of what the ground was doing, what the bike was doing, and I enjoyed that, especially when you ride a little bit in the twisties. And I'm very aggressive and on and off the throttle and on and off the brakes pretty hard. I like doing emergency braking and fast acceleration. And for that you don't want too soft suspension, because the bike will be bouncing, and yeah, it's not pleasant when the bike just dives. However, that does contribute to the bike wearing, well, uneven, I guess. So today I'm out for a ride just to test out the new suspension. Just finding out how it works, how it feels. So far it feels great, but I haven't exactly been going through a lot of heavy corners yet. So when the areas of more tightly high-speed corners show up, that's when you really get the impression of how the bike behaves. I'm a little scared that it'll be bouncy, because I'm used to having full rebound, I guess you would call it. So I'm a little worried that having this little rebound, the bike will be bouncy, but I haven't felt a lot of that yet, so I'm thinking it'll be okay. And like it's not like I'm riding super hard either. I'm just cruising today. And actually the bike feels better for just general nice, quiet, cool riding. It's so much more pleasant. It doesn't bounce a whole lot. I don't get shocked every time there's a bump in the road. Basically the bike feels a lot better, but it also feels less responsive. I feel it every time I go into the corner. If I throttle a little bit, it's like the rear tire is slipping, because when you accelerate, the rear tire spins or pulls the chain, and the chain pulls the rear, what's it called? So the swing arm, which literally compresses the bike. So when you accelerate, the rear gets lower, and when you do that in a corner, you will feel like the rear is slipping, but it's actually just dropping down. So every time I enter a corner and I throttle, it feels like I just lost the rear, but what I actually did was just lower a couple of millimeters. It's not a whole lot. It's not like you're falling like a foot or something. It's not like an inch. It's just that little bit of a hint of drops, or a hint of a drop, which feels weird when you're not used to it. I guess that's just one of those things, because I've had the rear so stiff and the front so stiff that there was no reaction. I could full throttle and nothing happened. The bike would just be completely steady, which is not a good thing by no means. If you're on a track, yes, that's fine, because a track is completely flat, or should be. There shouldn't be any bumps or holes in the road. But when you're riding on normal roads, There's potholes, there are bumps, there are cracks, tar snakes, there are so many things in the road that can change the height of the road a little bit. And when your suspension is designed to go well straight and not hit any bumps at all, it doesn't feel good. And yeah, that's probably the reason why I had my one slip of the rear, because I came into a corner where the road literally dropped down a little bit. As I was going through the corner, I wasn't giving a lot of throttle, but a little bit. So most likely the rear just caught air, literally. So this will be the first time I actually do this specific road this year. I haven't done this road so far. I think the last time I was here was like October last year. I have to say, other than that the bike moves a little bit more than I'm used to, it feels really good. It feels like it's following the road pretty well. But yeah, it really messes you up when you ride with super stiff suspension for a long time. So that's sort of a recommendation to people out there. Don't set your suspension settings too hard. I don't know if I would call it a beginner mistake, because it's one of those things that you do what you like, and that's what I liked. I guess I still like it. However, it does take away some of the safety for that field. And I don't know if I had to choose between a good feel while riding or safety. I guess safety is the thing I should be focusing on. So I'll here comes one of the best corners. I haven't, like I said, I haven't done this road yet this year, so I don't know the state of the road, so I have to do it carefully. Also, there's a bus. That's why you don't do inside corners on the street. Your head would literally be in front of my head, would literally have been in front of the bus mid-corner. You come through there, that's the 80 zone. Let's say you do 100, which is you get a fine, but nothing serious. If you come around that corner, taking the inside of the corner and meet a bus like that, you're probably going to get your head smashed. Which is why it is so important to be very, very careful. You have to see through the entire road, or you can't push. No pushing in blind corners, that's stupid. Which I have done. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't done it a whole lot, but it has happened. And any motorcyclist who says they haven't been pushing in a corner are lying. Oh, I mean, it feels like both the front and the rear is letting go. It's the bike is moving more than I'm used to. I don't know if I like it. It feels a little not floaty. It feels a little not bouncy either, because I have of course adjusted so that there's no bounce, but the rebound is set not too tight, but a little tight. I think I came up to the point where it doesn't bounce, and I added a quarter of a turn, no, an eighth of a turn, because I don't know, the oil gets warm, it behaves differently, it gets thinner, it moves easier. So I'm going with, after I've gone through this ride, the oil should be pretty warm. So I'm going to do a new calibration and check for bounciness. And if the rebound is still on point, then that's it, that's perfect. Also worth noting is that because the front or the leading edge of the treads on my tires are taller than the trailing edge, that's probably why it feels a little bit bouncy and a little bit weird in the corners, because it's uneven. The tire is literally bumpy, which used to be a non-issue, but now that I actually correctly have adjusted the suspension, it actually feels like it's wrong. I'm hoping that'll be automatically fixed now that I have adjusted it, but could be that I've screwed up that tire. Doesn't matter, because I'm going to have to change it soon anyway. But because I'm having it for a service in like 2 weeks today, I'm not going to change the tire no matter what. I'm just going to ride it out, and it's going to be switched out when I have a service on the bike. I wonder if the traction control will be less sensitive now that I have a softer rear. Because when I put the traction control in 2, usually if I full throttle, like if I'm accelerating into a freeway or something, it'll start skipping a lot. Which could have been because the suspension was so hard that it was literally bouncing across the tarmac asphalt. It'll be interesting. I'm going to test it here, because this is actually a good spot. No, traction control is still bumpy or bouncy. I don't know if it was worse or better than it used to be, but it still cuts in from full throttle. The bike definitely feels more stable on the front tire. Every time I did this, the bike would feel like the bike just lost or started skidding across the road sideways. Now it actually feels like it's gripping. Man, I may have messed up the suspension on this bike more than I thought, because this is, the more I get used to it, the better it feels. I just have to stop doing all those emergency braking things. It's okay to practice once in a while, but you can't do it all the time, every time. You wear out the tire pretty fast. I do love this road though. It's actually pretty, I don't know if it's new suspension, but the road feels pretty nice and flat. There's no bumps, or very little bumps. There's some cracks here and there, but they're not wide, no serious cracks. Yeah, all in all, I think I'm gonna keep this setting. May slightly adjust it. Like I said, I'm gonna stop after a little bit of a ride now while the fork oil is warm, and I'm going to recheck that it doesn't bounce when I push it down. The way I test it, the way I've seen people test it, I lift the bike all the way back, I grab the front brakes so the bike doesn't move, and I just push full force down and let the bike bounce back up. If it stops, that means it's good. If it drops back down, that means the rebound is too soft and you're getting bouncy suspension. You want the bike to just come up and settle. That's perfect. Worst case scenario, it goes down and goes back up again. If it goes into an entirely new a second bounce, that means your suspension is completely screwed up, and you don't want that. That's gonna make you literally lose traction in the corner, and you come a little bit a bump or something, and the bike will just start pogoing. Yeah, you don't want that. Let's test the bounciness. Oh, it's bouncy. I have to tighten that a little bit. Go an eighth. It's better. That's a lot better. So, as you can see, the rear tire is pretty good. Lots and lots of thread left. Still haven't been all the way out after... well, I think I have been all the way out, but for a very, very, very short while. So it still looks pretty much untouched. But yeah, the M9RRs by Metzler are fantastic tires. I should probably ride the same road before I adjust anything. I just adjusted the rebound like half a turn in, and yeah, it's hard to notice the difference when you ride two different roads. Ooh. Very bouncy. That was a big bump in the road there. The bike felt like it took it pretty well. I don't know if it took it better or worse than it used to, because I can't remember ever hitting that bump. This is a good corner. Feels like the bike is behaving pretty well. It's not as sporty. I can definitely feel that it used to be better, but it's also a lot more comfortable when I don't push and I'm going especially in the more straight lines. So yeah, I don't think I have a lot more to say. This is where I took the gorgeous picture last year. I can see there's still pretty good view here. I hope you see more than just the sun.